There is often a gap between what's considered universally best in a given field and what might be best for you personally. Many people adopt popular standards, methods, or guidelines without considering that these are shaped by what works for the average case. Over time, we're encouraged to trust broad statistics or accepted norms. While that can be a decent starting point, it's not necessarily the highest level of insight or the most effective path for your unique context. Take diet and fitness plans, for example. We hear about the best way to lose weight or the best set of exercises to build muscle. These ideas emerge from studies and generalized samples. On paper, they're valid for the largest percentage of people. Yet you might discover your body responds differently because of metabolism, lifestyle, or even genetics. The well-known plan might deliver modest results, but a personalized approach, drawn from trial, error, and deeper self-study, could surpass that one-size-fits-all solution by multiple levels. Similar logic applies to education and career choices. Advisors commonly suggest particular degrees or professions based on prevailing market data or broad salary averages. That advice can help you avoid obvious pitfalls, but it might not align with your actual temperament or innate skills. If you're drawn to a field that isn't booming by conventional standards, following your genuine passion might ultimately provide a greater sense of fulfillment and even unexpected opportunities. It's not that general data is wrong. It's simply limited by the fact that it isn't tailored to your personal drive, aptitudes, or creative inclinations. The tension between best in general and best for you shows up in relationships too. Cultural norms and social psychology research can tell you how many times a couple should communicate daily or what forms of conflict resolution statistically lead to lower divorce rates. Those findings have merit, but your individual situation might require a different approach. If you come from a background where open dialogue is crucial to feeling emotionally safe, the typical check-in once or twice a day guideline could be insufficient. Or conversely, if you need more personal space, you may find the prevailing advice on frequent contact suffocating. The mismatch arises because generalized best practices can't capture the full complexity of each person's values or emotional blueprint. Avoiding a one-size-fits-all mindset doesn't mean disregarding shared knowledge. It means using that knowledge as a reference point rather than a final verdict. You might start with what the masses have uncovered, the recognized standards or widely adopted techniques, and then refine those ideas to fit your goals and context. By treating general solutions as a baseline rather than a ceiling, you leave room for a much higher level of customization. That's how you move 10 levels above what's merely acceptable or average. One reason we often settle for the broad approach is convenience. It's easier to grab a pre-built template or follow an existing formula. People rarely question whether there's an entire realm of more nuanced solutions waiting to be discovered, especially if the general approach is good enough. However, good enough often stands in the way of excellent. Because if we see passable results, we don't always push for the deeper process that could generate transformative outcomes. There's a subtle social factor as well. Societies reward conformity by providing structures and support around accepted practices. If you follow the usual route, whether it's a safe career choice, a standard health regimen, or a common relationship dynamic, there's already a network of guidance, tools, and validation. The moment you veer off the beaten path, you face more unknowns and perhaps fewer resources. You also risk pushback from people who assume the established norm is the only viable solution. This collective pressure can steer us away from exploring personalized strategies that might be far more fulfilling or effective. Still, the payoff for going beyond the generic can be significant. When you tailor solutions to your own preferences, you often discover synergy between your goals and your natural tendencies. You're not forcing yourself to mold to a standard that never fit quite right. Instead, you're continuously iterating a method that resonates with your motivations. Over time, this approach usually yields results that feel more sustainable and genuinely satisfying, partly because you're operating in alignment with who you are. Consider the idea of best as an ongoing experiment. Each time you test a widely held rule, Watch how it works for you. Take notes. Ask whether you need to tweak the rule or abandon it entirely. Look for incremental gains where you refine and adapt. That might mean adjusting a health routine to match your energy levels or modifying a financial strategy to accommodate your risk tolerance. Gradually, you build a blueprint that reflects both conventional wisdom and your own discoveries. This process requires a level of self-awareness and flexibility. People sometimes fall into the trap of rejecting all external advice, believing they can reinvent every wheel from scratch. That's not the point here. We're not suggesting you ignore proven knowledge or proven techniques. Instead, the message is to examine each piece of mainstream advice critically. If it proves beneficial, great. Incorporate it into your own approach. If it's lacking, don't be afraid to seek alternatives or create your own path. Curiosity is your ally in this journey. Instead of taking the mainstream route for granted, ask yourself, where did this recommendation come from? Does it apply to my situation? What assumptions does it make about me? People who dig deeper often find hidden assumptions that don't align with their personality, environment, or resources. They also stumble upon advanced or specialized techniques that yield better results. Those hidden gems might come from a less conventional coach, an obscure study, or even from simple personal observation over time. By actively discerning between what works generally and what works specifically for me, you're more likely to avoid the mental pitfalls of feeling stuck or disillusioned. If the standard solution isn't delivering, you won't assume you're the problem. You'll recognize that the method itself might not be suited to your unique context. That perspective frees you from self-blame and encourages a spirit of experimentation. This sense of agency is crucial. People who believe one-size-fits-all solutions must be correct, even if they're not yielding results, often blame themselves. They conclude they lack discipline or intelligence when really, they might just need an adapted approach. By separating the idea of a general best from a personal best, you not only open up more possibilities for success, but you also cultivate self-compassion. Your focus shifts from, why can't I make this standard method work, to, which method aligns with my strengths and situation? One final note, understanding the difference between general best and personal best does not require complete isolation from group knowledge. You can still benefit from communities, mentors, and collaborative environments. However, your vantage point changes. Instead of adopting everything wholesale, you selectively incorporate elements that resonate with your unique framework. That approach can significantly increase your personal fulfillment because you're not living on someone else's terms. You're using their insights to refine and empower your own path.